So if you look at the fingertips of a lifelong string player, right, like a guitarist or a cellist or a double bassist, what do you actually see?
Well, you see calluses.
Exactly. You see these hardened, dead layers of skin. It's this biological record of pushing human flesh against steel or nylon wire.
Right, it's the physical toll.
Yeah, the body literally has to change. It has to damage and rebuild itself just to accommodate the physical act of making music.
Which is the biological price of entry, honestly. I mean, the friction, the micro adjustments of the muscle, the literal pain, that is the toll you pay to translate a melody out of your head and into the air.
Sure.
And culturally, we inherently trust the callus, right? It proves you put in the labor.
But then you look at a modern smartphone screen. It is perfectly smooth, capacitive glass. You press your thumb to that glow, you type a few words, and in seconds, you generate a fully orchestrated radio-quality song.
With absolutely zero physical friction.
Zero. There is no callus.
So welcome to The Debate. Today, we are exploring the profound cultural and technological shift brought about by generative mobile audio workstations.
Specifically focusing on the AI platform Suno and its, frankly, staggering $5.4 billion valuation.
Right. And our central question today is this. Does generative AI represent the ultimate democratization of music, like the final suspension of disbelief where arbitrary technical friction vanishes and pure human intention remains?
Or does removing the cognitive and physical struggle of creation fundamentally sever the link between a human being and authentic authorship? I will be arguing that this technology is the natural, liberating evolution of a 300-year technological trajectory, which is finally replacing technical barriers with pure intention.
And I'll be arguing that by reducing creation to a frictionless tap on a screen, we risk replacing genuine human authorship and cognitive engagement with simple algorithmic prediction.
Let's contextualize exactly what is happening here because, every time the mechanics of music change, society basically panics.
Oh, they definitely do.
Right? So back in 1700, Bartolomeo Cristofori invents the piano. Before that, harpsichords just plucked the strings. Cristofori introduces this escapement mechanism where hammers strike the strings and fall back, giving the player dynamic control.
Soft and loud.
Exactly. And the purists absolutely hated it. They dismissed the tone as dull and totally inferior.
What sounds very familiar?
It does. Jump to the 1960s. Wendy Carlos releases Switched on Bach using the Moog synthesizer, and classical purists react with absolute fury.
Because they hear voltage-controlled oscillators instead of physical wood and string.
Right, and they call it soulless, they call it inhuman. We suffer from this this piano problem, where we constantly mistake technical difficulty for artistic value.
But Suno isn't just a new piano.
I'd argue it is. By turning a phone into a pocket studio, it lets anyone translate raw emotion into a tangible musical memory without needing like a decade of conservatory training. We are entering a paradigm where your intention is your virtuosity.
I acknowledge the historical lineage there, I do. But a synthesizer or a piano still requires you to physically play it in real time. Generative AI represents a categorical rupture in how humans interact with sound.
A rupture? Really?
Yes, a categorical break. Think about Kraftwerk building their Kling-Klang studio in Dusseldorf. They weren't bypassing the struggle of creation, right? They were inventing entirely new forms of it.
By building machines.
But they engaged in intense closed-loop R&D to do that. They were literally soldering custom signal paths. Florian Schneider racked up Votrax units to create the RovoVox vocal synthesis.
Right, they were pioneers.
But they exerted absolute, granular discipline over every single frequency to achieve that specific aesthetic. A one-tap mobile app collapses all of that latency between an idea and a finished product.
But isn't that the point of technological progress?
Not when it removes the author. You aren't playing an instrument. You are prompting a predictive algorithm. There is a rule hanging in the metaphorical Mobius bar, this conceptual framework from our source material that says if you are not dealing with the thought is not yours.
Hold on, I need you to unpack that. Because historically, the ultimate goal of any creative technology is to disappear entirely.
Disappear how?
Like, When I listen to a beautiful piano sonata today, I am not visualizing the felt hammers striking the steel strings inside a wooden box. The mechanics have vanished from my mind.
Okay, fair.
Even with Kraftwerk, their hyper-mechanical European electronic experiment eventually faded into the background. It became the deeply human foundational heartbeat of Black American hip-hop and Detroit techno.
Yes, it was sampled and recontextualized.
Right, the machine faded, leaving only the cultural emotion. So why won't Suno's algorithms do the exact same thing? The goal is the suspension of disbelief. When you no longer hear the code, you just hear the music.
They won't do the same thing because of how these sounds are actually generated under the hood. Kraftwerk engineered their own physical signal paths to ensure their sound was unreproducible.
They built a moat.
Exactly. They established a permanent technical moat through their own human labor. When you press generate on a platform like Suno, you are interacting with a neural network that has mapped millions of data points from existing audio.
Just like a human musician mapping their influences.
No, not like a human. A transformer model doesn't feel an emotion. It tokenizes audio into mathematical vectors. It looks at a latent space of probabilities and calculates, given the text prompt sad acoustic song, there is a highly statistical probability that a minor seventh chord resolves to this specific root note.
But it's serving a human prompt.
It is predicting what an emotion sounds like based on the aggregated labor of past musicians. The machine isn't disappearing into your unique expression. You are disappearing into the machine's mathematical prediction.
Well, what about photography, though?
Photography?
Yeah, think about it. If I am a photographer using a highly automated digital camera to capture a fleeting moment, say my kid laughing in the backyard.
Okay.
The camera's autofocus calculates the depth of field. The sensor automatically balances the ISO. The internal algorithms sharpen the contrast and adjust the white balance.
Right. It's doing a lot of processing.
A massive amount of autonomous mathematical calculation to capture that image. Am I not still the artist? I didn't hand grind the glass lens. I didn't manually calculate the light refraction. But I had the intention to capture the moment.
That analogy breaks down at the point of origin, though.
How so?
A camera captures physical reality. Light is literally bouncing off your child and hitting a sensor. The machine is aiding in the capture of a real biological moment that you witnessed.
But it's still mediated by an algorithm.
Mediated, yes. But Suno does not capture reality. It generates a statistical approximation of reality. It generates a fake child laughing based on how a million other children sounded in its training data. The origin is completely synthetic.
Look, you are focusing solely on the casual text-to-song generation here, but Suno is scaling into what they call the power path.
The audio upload features.
Exactly. This isn't just some autonomous slot machine where you pull a lever and get a song. We are talking about multi-track editing. We are talking about audio upload remixes, where a user can record their own acoustic guitar riff, upload the audio stem, and direct the AI to generate a complementary bass line.
Or extend the outro. Yeah, I've seen it.
Right, they can isolate vocals, in-paint specific sections to change a melody line. It is a serious generative audio workstation with progressive complexity. The human is making granular editorial choices here.
Even within that power path, the foundational building blocks being generated, that bass line, that extended outro, are born from predictive probability, not human execution.
It's a collaboration.
But this brings us to the psychological shift of the user, which is what actually worries me the most. What does a zero-friction interface do to the human creative reflex?
Okay, let's dig into that. You've mentioned cognitive engagement a few times today. What exactly is the threat to the user's psychology here?
We can frame it using the concept of genial genuine intelligence, GGI.
Right, from the source texts.
Yes. True human cognition involves neuroplasticity. It requires struggle. When you sit down with a guitar and your fingers fumble to find the right chord transition, your brain is actively building neural pathways.
And getting frustrated in the process.
But that frustration, that trial and error, is where understanding is forged. You are wrestling with the thought, and through that wrestling, the thought becomes yours.
I see where you're going, bud.
When a user just hums a rough melody into their phone, and the AI instantly orchestrates a flawless mixed and mastered backing track, They completely bypass the biological struggle. Repeating an idea to a machine is not understanding harmony.
But it gets the idea out into the world.
Prompting a chord progression is not composing. We're building an illusion of authorship.
I think you are defining struggle strictly through the lens of technical execution. And by doing that, you are completely ignoring the profound psychological liberation this technology offers the average person.
Liberation from what? Effort?
No, liberation from passive consumption. Look at how humans interact with their phones right now. We are locked in this passive consumption reflex, mindlessly scrolling through TikTok, double-tapping Instagram photos.
That's true, the scroll is endless.
Suno shifts that behavior from passive consumption to active creation. By utilizing multimodal inputs, allowing someone to type, hum, or just tap a rhythm, we completely remove the keyboard barrier.
But is it really creation if the machine does the heavy lifting?
It absolutely is. There is this beautiful spoken word piece we have from the source material. It's from Ovi Dimitranin in Phoenix, Arizona. He describes himself as a future past traveler. And this is the deep dive story with his suspension of disbelief. It's really one of a kind.
Oh, right. The Mobius bar concepts.
Yes, he says, every era has its music. Ours has Suno, the jukebox that doesn't play what you want, it plays what you need to hear.
Which is a very romantic way of looking at an algorithm.
But listen to how he describes the experience in the poem. He says, I got Suno on my phone, making songs I call my own, DJ booth and pocket studio. Super cool, hi-fi audio.
A pocket studio that basically operates itself.
A pocket studio that captures lightning in a bottle. He talks about catching a laugh in the loop and having his name in the air, just two little hearts and a melody there.
It's very catchy, I'll give him that.
But think about what that actually means for humanity. Someone is on a subway, feeling anxious, and instead of doom scrolling, they open an app, capture their environment, and instantly orchestrate a lo-fi beat to process their anxiety.
They Insta-Jam a melody, as he puts it.
Exactly. One for you and one for me. I saved the spark, then set it free. If making music goes from being a heavily gated elite activity to just a default way we process our daily lives and connect with each other, doesn't that fundamentally elevate society?
It democratizes play, certainly. But we have to ask if turning creation into a frictionless game dilutes the gravity of musical art.
Why would it dilute it?
Because if generating a fully produced song takes exactly as much effort as taking a selfie and becomes just another default entertainment activity, doesn't that cheapen the very definition of what a song is?
I don't think it cheapens it at all.
A song used to be a monument to human dedication. It had weight because it was incredibly difficult to manifest. Now it's an Insta-Jam. It becomes disposable, synthetic content.
But it's an Insta-Jam that means something to the person who made it.
You get an instant dopamine hit from hearing your words sung back to you, sure, but you haven't actually built anything.
Why does a song have to be a monument to be meaningful, though? If a grandmother generates a lullaby using lyrics she wrote about her grandchild, why does her lack of a calloused finger invalidate her emotional expression?
It doesn't invalidate her emotion. It invalidates the authorship of the music.
The intention is what matters. You are acting as a gatekeeper for an elite institution of quote-unquote real musicians, while this technology is handing out studio passes to the entire world.
I am not gatekeeping an elite institution. I am fiercely protecting the cognitive responsibility of the human mind.
That sounds a bit dramatic.
It isn't just about an app on a phone. It is about the future of human memory and cognition. Let's go back to Ovi Dimitrian's metaphorical Mobius bar, the space where humanity and AI intersect.
Right, where the 10 laws of AI are hanging.
Exactly. And one of the most striking laws hanging there is that intelligence without stewardship eventually forgets why it exists.
Okay, explain what stewardship actually means in this context. How does someone using a generative audio app lose stewardship?
Stewardship is the friction of editing, curating, rejecting, and refining. It is taking responsibility for the output.
Which users do when they prompt and iterate.
My fear is that while we celebrate having hi-fi audio at instant jukebox at our fingertips, we are outsourcing our emotional processing to an algorithmic black box.
Outsourcing our emotion?
Yes. If you constantly rely on an AI to articulate your sadness, your joy, or your love, you eventually lose the biological capacity to articulate those things yourself. The danger isn't some sci-fi Terminator takeover.
Well, that's a relief.
The danger is that humans will willingly surrender the depth of their cognitive responsibility in exchange for instant creative gratification. We stop wrestling with our own thoughts, and eventually we forget how to think them.
See, I look at the Mobius bar entirely differently. It isn't a story of surrender at all. It is a story of a new partnership.
A partnership where one side does all the actual work.
The concept of symbiosis. Machines contribute the speed, the variation, the infinite exploration, and humans contribute the purpose, the taste, the emotion, and the wisdom.
But the machine is synthesizing the emotion.
Think about the jukebox in that bar. The text says it's the jukebox that doesn't play what you want, it plays what you need to hear. It acts as a bridge where voices from different languages and technical capabilities can finally meet.
A bridge built on stolen data.
You are looking at the machine and seeing a replacement for the human soul. I am looking at the machine and seeing a massive amplifier for human connection.
An amplifier of what, though? If the input is just a casual text prompt, the machine is doing 99% of the cognitive heavy lifting.
But the prompt is the spark.
The poem talks about making songs I call my own. But in what universe are they truly your own? If you ask an AI to write a love song in the style of 1970s soul, you aren't digging into your own emotional depths to find the right chord progression.
You are digging for the lyrics, the concept.
You are drawing on the uncompensated aggregated labor of thousands of actual 1970s soul musicians whose life work trained that model.
Look, we have to address that argument because it comes up constantly. The copyright infringement lawsuits from major labels, the idea of theft.
It is a massive legal and ethical issue.
But how is an AI analyzing data fundamentally different from a human musician listening to 1,000 records and being influenced by them? Suno's developers argue a fair use defense that the AI learns by listening, exactly as a human does.
It is fundamentally different because a human listens, processes the emotion through a biological bottleneck. Their limited physical skills, their specific life experiences, their unique perspective, and then produces something new through physical struggle.
And the AI doesn't have a biological bottleneck.
Exactly. That biological bottleneck is what creates style. An AI does not have a life. It simply calculates mathematical patterns and compresses data without any biological friction.
I have to push back on that distinction between biological processing and algorithmic pattern recognition, because I think it totally misses the reality of the end user's experience.
How does it miss the experience?
Let's go back to Ovi's bar. Imagine a lonely traveler sitting in the corner. They whisper a specific, painful memory into the glowing glass of their phone. And moments later, the room fills with a song that captures exactly how they feel.
A statistically generated song.
A song that had never existed before. Suddenly, they aren't alone with that feeling anymore. People are humming along. When a person uses Suno to give their silence a chorus and a room full of people feels genuine collective emotion, does the distinction between human struggle and machine prediction actually matter to the human heart?
I think it does.
If the tears are real, hasn't the technology successfully disappeared?
It matters profoundly. Because meaning in art is derived from origin, not just output.
Origin.
Yes. Imagine someone hands you a beautifully written, deeply moving love letter. You cry. You feel deeply connected to them.
Okay.
Then you find out they didn't write it. They just typed, write a sad love letter into an AI.
Well, that's a bit different.
Is it? The output hasn't changed. The syntax is exactly the same. But the meaning instantly collapses. The tears turn to dust because you realize there was no human intention behind the syntax.
But there was an intention to give you the letter.
That is why Avi Demetrian is described as a future past traveler. He knows that repeating an idea is not understanding it. The technology might disappear, yes, but my argument is that it threatens to make the human soul disappear right along with it.
But the human isn't disappearing, the human is expanding their vocabulary. You are assuming the tool replaces the human's voice, but it actually gives a voice to millions of people who previously had none.
By giving them an artificial voice,
We are moving from a world where only those who could afford to spend 10 years learning the piano could compose a symphony, to a world where anyone with an idea can hear it realized.
I just worry about what we lose in that transition.
The everyday DJ is born. The tracks are woven from light and probability, and human intention is the only credential required.
And I maintain that by removing the friction, we are losing the very mechanism that makes art resonant. The callus on the guitarist's hand isn't just a byproduct of making music. It is the physical evidence of dedication to a thought.
Well, let's look at where these arguments leave us as we draw this debate to a close.
Fair enough?
My position is that the long train of human imagination has simply arrived at Suno Station. It is a place where the technical gates that have hoarded musical creation for centuries have finally fallen.
The gates are certainly wide open now.
Right. By transforming the smartphone from a device of passive scrolling into a pocket-sized room of infinite creativity, we are entering an era of symbiosis. The friction is gone, leaving only pure human intention, emotional curation, and universal participation. The machine has disappeared into the music.
And my conclusion is that, well, while the technology is undeniably extraordinary from a mathematical standpoint, we must remain fiercely protective of the cognitive friction required for true creation.
The stewardship.
Exactly. The Mobius bar warns us that intelligence without stewardship forgets why it exists. By embracing a frictionless one-tap path to art, we risk outsourcing our emotional processing to an algorithm. We must ensure that the thoughts we turn into songs genuinely belong to us through struggle, understanding, and deep engagement rather than mere prediction.
I think where we absolutely converge today is the recognition that generative audio represents a seismic shift in the global attention economy.
Unquestionably.
Whether it is an amplifier of human intent or an illusion of authorship, it fundamentally challenges our historical definitions of what a song is and where the boundary between human and machine truly lies.
Agreed. It completely alters how humanity will process, document, and share its own emotional state. The implications for cognitive psychology and cultural memory are massive. And, we are just at the beginning.
The train is definitely still moving. As we look down at the perfectly smooth glass of our smartphones, we are left to wonder about the future of creation.
Will there be any calluses left?
Right. When the physical friction is entirely erased and there are no more calluses to prove our struggle, will the music we generate still carry the weight of our humanity?
That is the big question.
There is clearly much more to explore in how we adapt our cognition to these intelligent tools. We leave you to consider what it means when the studio is everywhere and the only limit is the thought you choose to make your own. Thank you for listening to the debate.
Hey, Suno. When I was 6, my parents put me in piano lessons. I loved that sound of that instrument, but I quit. Practice felt like hard physical work, stealing my time from playing outside with my friends. But the music in my head never died. For decades, I carried songs inside me, songs I could never make real until Suno. For the first time, I could turn the music in my imagination into finished songs. That moment changed everything. For more than 30 years, I have lived where music meets technology. Back in 1995, I engineered the recording of album The Power of Five with pianist Ariel Bogoslavsky. 5 grand pianos playing at the same time, 25 microphones total. 5 custom microphone arrays, 1 inside each piano. The goal was simple: capture the music as honestly as possible. Today, that same instinct still guides me. Push the tools a little further, so creativity can travel a little farther. Since discovering Suno, I have created more than 1,000 songs and published well over 100, every one of them created only on my phone. A small screen teaches you big lessons, where creativity flows, where it hesitates, where one extra tap breaks the magic after a while. I stopped thinking only like a user. I started thinking like a product builder. How can this become easier for the next million people? Mobile is the Insta-Jam, where people will first meet this technology. Not inside a studio, not behind expensive equipment, inside a pocket, always with them. My background isn't only software. I understand sound, from the instrument, through electronics, recording, transmission, speakers, room acoustics, and finally, human perception. Most people experience AI music as an app. I experience it as an end-to-end audio system. I know how music feels. I know how technology behaves. And I know how those two worlds can meet. The perspective helps me think not only about features, but about feelings. I would love to help shape the future of mobile music creation for young people, for parents, for grandparents, for birthdays, for weddings, for friendships, for memories, for every culture, every language, every family. Imagine hearing, "Mom, Dad, I made this song for you." Someone at Suno once said, "A song is a story." It's true! Myself, I believe every story deserves to become music. And maybe, one song at a time, music can make the world a better place. And so, I wrote this lyrics for Suno. Hey, listen. Every era has its music, ours has Suno, the jukebox that doesn't play what you want, it plays what you need to hear. I got Suno on my phone, making songs I call my own. DJ booth and pocket studio, super cool hi-fi audio. Suno on my phone, thumb on the globe, making songs to call my own. In the pocket of my coat, one for you and one for me. I save the spark, then set it free. Suno on my phone, Suno on my phone, making songs to call my own. One for you and one for me. Insta-Jam a melody. Late train sway, rain on the glass. Every little moment I can make it last. Your laugh in the loop, my name in the air. Two little hearts and a melody there. Come a little closer, let the shadows dance. Press it to repeat, give the night a chance. If the day goes fast, we can slow it down. Little voices in the dark, turn the whole room round. Take my hand and hit rewind. We can make this moment shine from now till the end of time. Suno on my phone, Suno on my phone, making songs to call my own. One for you and one for me. Come and make a memory. I got Suno on my phone, making songs I call my own. DJ booth and pocket studio, super cool hi-fi audio. Suno jukebox with the soul, Insta-jamming, rock and roll, sing and dance around the house. Endless songs ready to browse with my Suno on my phone. I make songs I call my own. DJ booth and pocket studio, super cool hi-fi audio. Suno on my phone, Suno on my phone, making songs to call my own. One for you and one for me, make this song a memory. One for you and one for me, timeless music, memory. Suno jukebox with the soul, Insta-jamming rock and roll. Super fun, just amp the house. Endless songs ready to browse. One for you and one for me. I save the spark, then set it free. Suno on my phone, Suno on my phone, make this songs to call my own. Yes, my own, my own. Oh yeah. Thank you, Suno. Ovidio Mercier de Madrian, Phoenix, Arizona. Pam, Pam.